Welcome to PhD&D on YouTube and another Lessons in D&D. This week, highlighting my adventures playing in Eberron. Now this is an Eberron that takes place about 500 years after the Eberron presented in 4th edition. So all the houses have fallen, a lot of the technology has been lost. It's a lot more of a fantasy Eberron than was originally presented. And we're essentially playing through the Keep on the Shadowfell module as if it were in Eberron. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. So the characters I'll introduce. I am playing Ember, a dwarf fighter. He's got an interesting backstory. I may do a profile on him sometime in another video. But then there's Harold, who's a human cleric, who is a slave alongside Ember. They kind of grew up together. And the other two, the first one is Melfrey. He is a dwarf sorcerer. He was actually a librarian for the longest time. And then you have Adversa, and it's a female half-elf druid. She has an attitude problem. She's a teenager. That's the thing. So she's kind of bitter, and we always remind her of that. But anyways, she role plays. I mean, on a side note, this player role plays the character phenomenally. She makes you want to hate her. We don't, though. So, anyways, we're playing through Keep on the Shadowfell, so I won't really recap the session. We got to a town, we fought some orcs after we got back on the road, so I'm going to skip straight to the orc fight. Now, normally on these weeks where I'm highlighting the Eberron game, I will try to give player tips or player advice or lessons I learned as a player. This week it's going to be a DM tip that I learned as a player, because you can learn a lot by watching other DMs. So if you only DM out there, I highly recommend you find a way to play as well, because it'll help you grow both ways. And you get both experiences being a lot of fun. So anyways, we fought these orcs, and this has happened before, the lessons that I'm going to highlight in this. It's a certain GM style that some of the other players, I think, are catching on to. As someone who DMs a lot myself, I pick up on things a lot more than I want to. Like, I can tell when the DM's trying to steer us kind of railroady down a path, and the other players might not. So that stuff kind of bugs me. But anyways, in the fight, the lesson for today is essentially don't fudge numbers. Now, I realize there's times where that's okay, and I'm not big on doing it ever, honestly. I kill characters a lot, not intentionally, but I'm not the type of DM to sit there and I rolled a nat 20, I critted him, and I know it's gonna kill him, so I'm gonna lie or change something. No, I mean, I'm gonna deal that damage because I think that those moments of adversity for them are more fun and more story and character building than anything else. So the lesson here is not necessarily, I mean, don't fudge rolls either. I don't like that. You can do it, whatever. But don't fudge on numbers, meaning defenses, armor class, damage you deal. Go ahead and roll and then give that. Or if a player misses a monster, they miss the monster. Don't give them the hit. Unless, here's the disclaimer, you've set up an encounter that's way too hard and you're starting to realize that. If you've set up something you shouldn't have and they really don't stand a chance and you're only realizing that as you play, then start doing some inner workings. Maybe say, okay, well, now I realize they're not going to hit a 25 armor class unless they roll like a 19. What was I thinking? I'm going to go ahead and drop that down to a 20 and then leave it there. But the DM, what he does, and what I can tell he does, is he changes it a lot. Now, situationally, if someone gives a good combat narrative, I'm willing to override the rules in those situations occasionally. But when a DM sits there and you roll and it wasn't good, and you're like, okay, 14 against armor class. And he's sitting there, and towards the end of this fight, it was kind of getting this way. We were getting beat up pretty bad. And at the end, I was like, oh, man, is a 14 versus armor class. So getting ready to describe the missed attempt or the block, but I was interrupted by the DM who said, yeah, sure, you hit. That didn't sit well with me. Normally be like, oh, I hit, great, that's fantastic. There was a strong inconsistency there where I knew I didn't hit, and I don't want to be handed things. Even if I miss all fight, mechanically, if I can't hit anything, I am fine with that. I am there for the fun, for the story. Some players can't stand that. I don't care if I miss the entire fight. But don't hand feed your players victories. Do not change something just so they can have it for no reason at all. Like I said, if you're trying to readjust because you realize you made something way too hard, or if you suddenly have a really good storyline that goes with this, something, if you have an actual reason, then maybe it's okay. But as a player, I did not like it at all. It was absolutely terrible. And actually, I don't remember which situation it was even in, so I apologize I can't provide the example. But one of the times the DM gave me something and I actually said no. And I mean, he moved right along. He wasn't very happy about it, but I said, no, I didn't hit. He said, well, yeah, you did. Give me a reason. If I didn't hit the armor class, and you're like, okay, you actually do hit because, the other character did something at the exact same time. This guy had no idea you were coming, so yes, this time you hit. But no, he was just handing them out like, sure, you hit. So biggest lesson, don't fudge those numbers without a reason. Fudging without a reason is terrible. Doesn't feel good as a player, and I can't imagine it feels good as a DM. So there's a little rambly video for you. Thank you for watching. Take it easy, and we'll see you in the next video.